Hi, my name is Sunny Song, and I was accepted to SVA, Pratt, Parsons, Otis, and RISD as well. For Otis, my award was $23,000. For SVA, it was the same, and then for Pratt, it was $27,000. I was an illustration major for all of them. It was kind of a weird decision for me because I decided a little late, but I don't know, just one day I was sitting in the car with my mom and I realized that art was what I really wanted to do. And I wasn't really sure if I could do it because I didn't think my art skills were good enough at that point, but I really wanted to try because art was what made me really happy. I committed to Pratt. I was really excited when I first got the acceptance letter because I really didn't expect to get it at all, especially I didn't expect to get a scholarship either. But I decided to go to Pratt because I really like the location and I think their illustration program kind of fits my personality. Kind of nervous because art school is so specific and everybody always says that it's hard and it might not always be the right decision, but the nervousness comes because of how happy and excited I am and how high my hopes are for college. I have a lot of high expectations and I really want to have a lot of fun. I say that you should try and have a really well-rounded portfolio because I know a lot of people find their niche and they just kind of stay in that. But I really tried to go outside of my comfort zone, I guess, and I ended up finding a lot of things that I liked that I didn't think I would like at all. So even if it's just for your own fun, you should try and explore a little bit. Also, figure drawings are really fun, so if you can do live figure drawings and studies, you should try and do that, even if it's just informal, like with your friends or something. My last piece of advice is that I guess it's almost never too late, because I decided really late to start making a portfolio, and I was almost too late, but if you have the drive and you really want to do it, then you can make it work. Yeah, so it was the very first work that I did at Icon, and it's watercolor and a little bit of acrylic in the back. I was proud of it at the time, but I'm not so proud of it anymore. It's kind of about our relationship and I guess being an immigrant, especially because I was trying to work with color a lot at the time. But right now I can see a lot of flaws, especially in how plain the background is and the anatomy and stuff like that. But I don't think some of the parts, especially the detail in the dress, would have been as good on my own. So, I'm proud that I learned from that, I guess, and I found out that I enjoy drawing and painting fabrics and textures like that. So yeah, I'm okay that it's not so great because I learned from that. And then my most recent piece is this one. It's a study. The subject matter is kind of similar because it's my dad and I, but it's gouache, which this is only my second or third time trying it. But I've actually come to like it a lot, and I think it's one of my favorite mediums so far, which kind of goes with what I was saying earlier about experimenting, because I definitely would not have found out that I like gouache because I was too scared to try new things. Obviously this piece isn't perfect either. There's some anatomy stuff that I still need to work out because I'm not great with gouache yet. There's some places where the colors aren't perfect and the paint I guess is too thin because I'm still trying to figure out how water and gouache interact. But I'm still really proud of it because I like the lighting a lot, and I think I did some experimenting with how I showed the rim light on the legs and stuff like that. It's kind of different from my other pieces, it's more literal and there's less symbolism and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm okay with that as well, because I do need to work on my drawing from life and I'm painting from photos and things like that. This is printmaking. It was the second print that I ever made. The first one is actually also one of my favorites. The name is Wongsuni, like monkey in Korean. So it's my mom's zodiac sign. So I was trying to mix the traditional like quilt look, because it has the repetition and the colors, but mix it with like a pop art kind of modern feeling. So yeah, that's why I really like that piece. And then my next piece that I really liked was, so you can see it's like a 3D piece. It was clay and then paper sculpture. So I spent a long time coming up with the blueprints and figuring out the plan and painting everything, gluing everything together. And then I spent even longer on the sculpture. It's definitely not my best work, but it's one of my favorites because of how hard it was to make, and the fact that like I had to experiment so much and I had to go like way outside of my comfort zone a lot of times with this piece. I like this piece. It really encouraged me to start experimenting, and kind of led me to have the courage to like kind of mess up a little sometimes. My third piece that I want to talk about is this one right here. This one also took me a really long time, and I was so frustrated with it for the longest time because I didn't think it was going to turn out well given the effort that I put in. This was my first time trying printmaking, and this is just one of about 11 or 12 that I made, and it's not the final result, but the final result is the GIF that I made, where I combined all 12 of those into like a moving image. So you can see all the flaws in each one, but they kind of blend together so that it looks as if the ocean at the bottom and the clouds atop are kind of like breathing or moving in. And I thought it was really fun to see my flaws, because I didn't have really professional or printmaking supplies, and I had never tried printmaking before. So you can see all of my flaws, but I liked how I was able to turn those into something that made the piece have a lot more dimension and kind of contributed to the message about like freedom and being connected to nature. A lot of it is about my family, or about how my identity connects to my family and growth, I guess, coming of age and stuff like that, being like a teenager. The way that I came up with my portfolio concept, I guess, it was kind of organic. I didn't really sit down one day and decide that this was what I wanted to focus on. I just kind of make the art that I happened to come up with, or that I happened to be like thinking about at the time. So it just really reflects like my mindset as I was making it. But I am in AP studio art at my school, so a couple of these pieces were actually based on my AP studio art focus that we're going to focus on for our 15 pieces. So when I was sitting down at the very beginning of the year, I looked back at the art that I had made over the summer, and I realized that the stories that I wanted to tell were about my family and growing up, I guess. So that's just what I ended up following, because I didn't want to force myself to do something that wasn't organic. And since I knew at that point that I wanted to experiment a little bit more, I wanted it to be experiment with materials a little bit more. I wanted it to still be within my comfort zone of like topic and subject matter. Yeah. I mean, I don't really know. I was very surprised that my portfolio was well liked. Maybe two things. I think it might have been my live drawings, my observation sketches, because I really liked doing those, and at some points where I felt like my portfolio did not experiment enough and was too just following what I thought people wanted to see from me. I think my live drawings kind of stepped up and filled in that gap because there was a lot less pressure during the times that we were making those. So I was able to just kind of do a lot of fun things with color and but also show like my understanding of anatomy at the same time. So I think that was one thing that made it stand out. And then another thing was my writing, which was I wrote as much as I could for each one, which I know we're not technically supposed to because the art should speak for itself. And I did try to keep it concise, but I really went into the story behind each one, and I made sure that the passion that had driven each of the works was really visible. And I wrote so that it added dimension instead of kind of forcing a story onto it. So yeah, spending time on my live drawings and spending time on my writing, the descriptions of each of the pieces, is two things that I think made my portfolio stand out. I definitely did. I mean, it was fun. Of course, it was really fun, but because I kind of had the unique struggle of coming to it late and not having a ton of pieces that were already built up, a lot of the struggle for me was time-wise. I had to stay on a really strict schedule and make sure that I was pushing myself hard and not slacking off. For how I overcame it, it really helped that I wasn't making the art alone. So when I could talk to a teacher or talk to like a friend, or when we were in critiques, that really helped. It made me feel like less stuck in my head. And sometimes when I could like bounce ideas off of people, I really felt my understanding of the subject matter and of what I was doing like expand so much more. My GPA was a 3.7, I believe, unweighted. I don't quite remember what it was weighted, but I think it was a 3.9 or something around there. I took the ACT. I did not take the SAT. My best score was a 34. I made a really comprehensive chart on Google Docs with everything listed, every single thing that I could find on the website, and on if they had their own admissions portfolio portal, or if they were on the Common App. I went through and I copy pasted everything into the chart. I found their individual deadlines. I found what types of portfolios and how much I needed, and found what majors I wanted to be in. And I made like a huge list with basically everything. And then underneath that, I made like a calendar with all of those deadlines so that I could go through on a daily basis and know how far away everything that I needed to do was. Yeah, so really keeping track of each individual school's requirements and on top of the deadlines in a physical way helped so much. I don't think that I would have been nearly as prepared if I hadn't made like a chart as comprehensive as that. I assigned myself the essays for each week, and I would usually have one or two that I needed each week. So during the week I would work on those, but as I got further along, I found that a lot of the time they were just repetitive, so I didn't need to do much except for copy paste from other essays and edit a lot. It was a lot of editing towards the end. When I was still working on the pieces themselves, I would work really hard to get them done, but specifically for the pieces that were assignments, like the RISD assignment and the Carson assignment, I finished those as soon as I could before the deadline, so that way I would be on top of it. And then I would try and get each application on the Common App or on the individual application portal turned in at least 2 weeks before the deadline. And mostly because everything got a little bit repetitive towards the end, it was definitely before that. The teachers were really, really helpful. They were so unique. I've never had art teachers or teachers, period, like them. They were so willing to push you, but then at the same time, they seemed to understand me so well. There were moments where I could get really vulnerable about a piece, and I could tell that they really understood what I was talking about and what I was trying to do. They never let me go easy on myself or slack off. They were the perfect balance of tough love. So yeah, without the teachers, I really don't think my portfolio would have even been finished. Well, I really liked the live drawing sessions with Youngest 10, and because it was later at night, and there were some times when the model didn't come in, so we would have to draw each other, and it was smaller groups during those times. It was 5 of us. Those sessions were really fun because we did so much spontaneous drawing, and I was able to actually get a lot of pieces that I used for my portfolio from those sessions. So because it was structured but also kind of unique and really different from what we've done before, I was able to experiment, and yeah, I was able to kind of explore the subject more and put more character and personality, and so that was really fun. I'd never done anything really like that before, so I loved those times. Well, the first time I came in, I was really intimidated because it seemed like everybody was so hard at work and their pieces were so fantastic and huge and kind of spectacular. Once I started coming more often, I kind of felt like a community there, even though we're not always just chatting with each other. You kind of get familiar with them, and then there was a really friendly atmosphere, but also we were pushing each other forward. There was so much inspiration from everybody. Just hearing the conversations around you, it makes you want to push yourself harder, and it also makes you want to encourage them back. So there's camaraderie there, and there's a lot of understanding.